the free throw line, misses the front end of the 1-and-1. You go to overtime. You have your chances in overtime. In fact, you took the lead. In the end, it just felt like Clemson kind of ran out of time. Didn't have enough there to pull out against North Carolina.
Well, you mentioned the fact that Marquise Reed took that big shot and how he would kind of be the scapegoat today had he not hit it. And when he pulled up and shot it, and he's a kid, he's a baller. I mean, he's a guy who, as a freshman, I think we said the other week, scored 21 points against Clemson when he was playing at Robert Morris.
Right.
And seems to, when you go back to that 15-0 run that Clemson had against Wake Forest over the weekend in order to come out with a victory there, Reed was the guy that sort of sparked that, both offensively and defensively, just kind of a scrappy player. But he's got that fearless attitude that you really like to see in a basketball player, because there are a lot of guys, and I'm going to give you a prime example, and I don't want to be overly critical of the missed free throw of Avery Holmes, but I think in that moment, Marquise Reed is bigger than the moment. I think Marquise Reed hits the free throw there. Avery Holmes blew up in the moment and threw a brick off the backboard. Now, I think he'll learn from that. But it's not even so much for me, Lowell, that Avery Holmes missed the free throw that would have put Clemson up by at least one, maybe two. It's how he missed the free throw.
And I think it's fair to point out, in defense of Avery Holmes, that was the first free throw he had taken on the night. And so you have to consider he's been running up and down the court with a fast, athletic North Carolina team all night. What kind of condition are his legs in? He may have overcompensated because his legs were tired, and that's why he bricked it so badly. Because this is a guy who's darn near an 80% free throw shooter on the season.
Yeah.
And you're not used to seeing him miss like that. But I agree. Marquise Reed, he was 5 for 6 from the free throw line on the night. I think in that situation you would have liked to have him there. But it's not like North Carolina was trying to foul on purpose, and so you try to scheme up a way to get the ball to Marquise Reed. It was just a loose ball foul, and Avery Holmes was forced to go to the line in that situation rather than you drawing it up on the inbounds for Marquise Reed to get the ball and go to the line.
Not only that, another thing, too, I think that was pretty telling about the night. At that point in the game, neither team was in the bonus. You see what I'm saying? I mean, there's 5 seconds left in this ball game, and neither team is in the double bonus where you get 2 free throws, which would mean there were 10 team fouls at that point for neither team. Now, either you believe, A, that both teams played a fairly clean game defensively in the second half, of which I didn't think there was a ton of discrepancy there, or B, you kind of go into it, well, the refs let them play, and there were obviously some fouls that weren't called, because typically with 5 seconds left in a ball game, one of 2 teams is already in the double bonus and shooting 2 free throws, so that first free throw, your rear end isn't just drawn up so tight that you're puckered up and you can't put the ball in the hoop. And that's kind of what that free throw looked like. It looked like somebody, again, I know you said it was his first free throw of the night, but some guys, when it's go time, when it's money time, they're as good as they are when they're just pulling those free throws out during practice 3 days ago, over the weekend, whenever. That was not a good look for Avery Holmes there with the miss. Again, whether or not the foul should have been called, I would have certainly, I'll tell you this, you reverse the role, you make that North Carolina getting a breakaway and a Clemson guy grabbing him, and I want that call all day long. I want that call because I want to put them on the line and see if they can knock it down. Clemson did it, and that's the outcome. I mean, you can get into the coaches getting into their heated exchange and all of that, but that game was lost, in my opinion, by Clemson. Even though they were competitive in overtime, that game was lost right there. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that happened. But when you miss a free throw with 5 seconds left against a team ranked in the top 15 in America, and you don't have the same basketball athletes as they have, and you had a chance to go up by 1 or 2 with 5 seconds left, that's when the game's won or lost.
I am pretty shocked, not to not saying that this is like a conspiracy or anything like that, but I am pretty shocked that the officials made that foul call, because typically what you see in a basketball game is last 5-10 seconds, the officials don't want to be a part of it. So you'll have situations where people are getting hacked all over the place,
sure,
and the officials won't call it because they don't want to be the ones to influence the outcome of the game.
And it was a little bit helter-skelter at that moment. The ball got poked away. There was a lot going on, and I'm with you. A lot of times when that happens, you'll see the officials kind of eat the whistle and allow things to play out. Maybe one of the more impressive things that took place there, and maybe it was only because the whistle blew, the alley-oop from Sheldon Mitchell from near half court.
Beautiful.
On the money to Blossom game for the dunk that, of course, didn't count, but would have put Clemson up 2 with 5 seconds left.
Well, the pass by Holmes, we basically threw it backwards down the court to Shelton Mitchell. Even if the whistle hadn't blown, there's no way North Carolina stopping that break, because there's one guy back to guard Shelton Mitchell and Jerron Blossom game, because Avery Holmes got that ball out so quickly down the court, they had no shot at stopping it. So it's funny, because I feel like fans of most teams would be going, all right, yeah, we got that foul call. And then the only thing I'm thinking is, no, I don't want that foul call. I want that alley-oop dunk. Don't give me that. Don't give me the foul and make me have to hit free throws.
I'm with you on that, because we've seen Clemson for so many years struggle. Even in the old Little John Coliseum, they struggled to hit free throws. They've improved significantly. And the numbers on the game, as you mentioned, what was it final? Was it 13 of 16?
13 of 19.
13 of 19. So they missed 6. Not great, not terrible, but you can't miss the key ones. I can survive missing 1 or 2 early in a game. I get that. I can survive Sidi Jete going to the line and clanking a couple, or even Eli Thomas, who's not very good. I think he's like 54% for the free throw line. Money time, go time, my guards on the free throw line in a one-on-one situation, I got to have one. And the shot that I get, Lowell, I think it has to be it has to look good, Lowell. I mean, he doggone near threw the thing through the back of the glass.
Yeah.
It was, you could tell the pressure of the moment. And I think North Carolina, I think Duke, I think UCLA, I think UConn, Michigan State, Indiana, the big boys of traditional college basketball. Maybe they're not big right now, but the big names, when you get in that moment, that crunch time moment, I think it is hard sometimes to finish those guys, because I think you step up to the free throw line, and I've never had to do it. I've never had to step up to the free throw line in a game against North Carolina or Duke. But I get a sneaky feeling, as much as Dabo Swinney talks about with his team, the SC State game is as important as the Alabama game for the national championship is to him. The difference in guys like Deshaun Watson, perhaps, and maybe other players who you've seen choke under the lights of the big game, is that when you put that ball on the ground, you take your few dribbles and get yourself set for that big free throw against that big-name university, you have that one moment of, oh my gosh, this is a free throw to beat North Carolina. This is a free throw to knock off the Duke Blue Devils. And I think when you're thinking about that, you're thinking about the wrong things. You're not thinking about your breathing. You're not thinking about your form. You're not thinking about your rotation. And when you go to pull that trigger, you're thinking, man, I'm shooting this free throw to beat North Carolina.
And I'll say this too. It's a valid point. You can go back to the South Carolina game, who Clemson hadn't beaten for a couple years.
Yeah.
Avery Holmes is at the free throw line at the end of that game to try to ice this thing up. Goes 1 for 2. Misses a big free throw at the end that gives South Carolina an opportunity to come down and win or tie. And P.J. Dozier misses a three-pointer at the buzzer. But had you hit both the free throws, they wouldn't have been in a position to win.
I think it's one of the reasons that people have embraced Steph Curry. Maybe more than anything that he does. I think people have fallen in love with Steph Curry because people like an assassin. People like a guy on the court who wants the ball in the last seconds, who wants to go to the free throw line, who wants to be in a tie ball game or down one and have 2 free throws and deliver. People like that. You don't have to be a showboat about it. You don't have to do anything else but finish. People like finishers. They absolutely do. And the thing that a guy like Steph Curry has, he's not the biggest guy. He's not the most athletic guy. You're not going to see a whole lot of dunks from him. But I'm not sure there's another player in the league, in the NBA, outside of maybe LeBron James, who I want with the ball in his hand as the shot clock's ticking down.
I think you've got a little bit of that with Marquise Reed.
I think you do. Well, yeah. Listen, let's don't put him in the Steph Curry level yet.
But I mean that
he wants
that
the ball.
attitude.
Yes.
He wants to be in the spotlight. Now, he's a little reckless. He plays a little bit out of control. He plays a little too fast for his own good sometimes.
You know who he looks like?
Who?
Did you ever watch Family Matters? He looks like Steve Urkel when Steve was being Stefan. Do you remember when he would...
I don't know that I do.
Okay.
I'll have to look it up at the break.
You know who Steve Urkel is?
I do.
Okay. Well, Steve Urkel had this alter ego, Stefan, and that he went through this machine, and that's what Marquise Reed reminds me of.
But, I mean, prime example of playing a little too fast, a little too reckless. He goes flying down the court and gets just ripped by Joel Berry in overtime. He had an opportunity to go down and get a layup, and he just got his pocket picked. But what you get, you got to take the bad with the good with Marquise Reed because, he can be a little reckless. He can be a little bit out of control sometimes, but he's got that assassin's mindset, which is why he was perfectly comfortable walking down the court and just pulling a three-pointer in someone's face at the end of that game to tie the game up. Marquise Reed is what Clemson has lacked for the past as long as Brownell has been head coach. You've never really had that pure scorer that Marquise Reed gives you on the court.
Well, Tony Stockman many years ago against North Carolina kind of had the same thing. Stockman had Will Solomon on a break with him. 803, by the way, hadn't given out the number and all that. 803-978-1832. And I know we got a Clemson Tiger football game coming up in a couple of days. You may have heard about it. It's called the National Championship. We'll definitely talk about that coming up a little bit later. But coming down the break, you have Will Solomon, a guy who averaged, 25, maybe 23, maybe more points per game. And here's Tony Stockman, a freshman. And they're coming down the break, and Tony Stockman takes a step-back three and drills it to be the number 1 North Carolina team. And much like Reed last night, you kind of thought when he pulled trigger, you're like,
No.
Yes, that's the shot we wanted. So, yeah, I mean, you had that moment in the game. But for all the criticism of Clemson Tiger basketball, and I think we've said it well here, this is not a bad basketball team.
No. And this is actually something I was going to get to, and we're going to run out of time here, but I think you're sitting at 11-3 right now. I think looking at the schedule, the majority of the teams you play are ranked right now. I think 20 wins, it didn't used to be the magic number. I think it's the magic number again for this Clemson team. I think if you win your 9 of your last 16 games, I think you make the NCAA tournament. You go look at the RPI, the majority of the teams that Clemson plays are in the top 25 in the RPI right now. A lot of them are in the top 10, top 15. You're going to have to win the games you're supposed to win, which has been tough, and you may have to pull an upset here or there, but I think 20 wins can get you in, and I don't think winning 9 of 16 is an unrealistic goal.
I tell you this, You just have to win, like you say, the ones you need to win, and you got to win a couple like last night. It's disappointing because that was a winnable game. 803-978-1832. Lawton Swan, Lowell the intern, back in 3. Stay with us.
Love it raw? For the freshest sushi in town, Sakatumi Grill and Sushi Bar, 807 Gervais Street in the Vista. Sakatumi's flavorful grill for non-sushi fans features the Kobe burger, filet and lobster, chicken hibachi, and more. Fresh sushi, flavorful grill, Sakatumi Grill and Sushi Bar, sakifresh.com.
Need custom shirts, hats, or uniforms? How about promotional giveaways for your business or organization? Need fast turnaround times? Look no further than Meridian Printing and Promotions. Located in Lexington, they provide an in-house art department, in-house screen printing, and in-house embroidery services to the Midlands and beyond. For the absolute best quality products and services, contact Meridian Printing and Promotions, 785-4990. Check them out online, mbspromo.com.
Our iHeartRadio Music Awards are back. The only award show you control by listening to your favorite iHeartRadio stations all year long. Bruno Mars and more of the year's biggest artists will be live at the Forum in LA and on TBS March 5th.
The winner is...
Chase card holders can get the best seats in the house first. Purchase tickets using your Chase credit or debit card during the Chase presale now through Friday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Visit iHeartRadio.com/Chase for more.
Do you use a camera in your work? Are you always the one designated to take the office photos? Then you don't want to miss this. Snapclasses.com presents a digital photography workshop Sunday, January 22nd at the Hilton. World-famous photographers Michael and Angela Koska will teach you how to shoot like a pro. Learn how to take your photographs from average to amazing and be a photographer, not just a camera owner. Tickets for the upcoming class are going fast. Buy tickets now at snapclasses.com. That's snapclasses.com.
Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show now at 978-1832 or text 803-450-0086.
A record of the delightful piece they're going to play this evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Your attention, please. Your attention, please. Attention, please.
And now the moment we've been waiting for is here.
I have something to tell you.
Welcome back into Clemson Sports Talk. Lowell the intern, Lawton Swan, Wednesday edition of the program. 803-978-1832. That's how you can get in on the show tonight. Talking Clemson Tigers hoops, fall into North Carolina in overtime. We're going to switch gears. Talk about the national championship a little bit, because this is a game that I think Clemson fans, whether they want to admit it or not, and I know you got on Samantha Ponder for this, yeah, it is Samantha Ponder now.
It is.
I was about to go Samantha Steele. It's almost like a mental thing. I don't want to call her Samantha Ponder.
You don't want to imagine that she's married. You're
right.
Still holding out hope.
A little bit. As much as you kind of got on her on Twitter, I think that this is kind of the game that Clemson fans were hoping to get. Kind of that rematch with Alabama, considering how last year's game went. You came out of that game feeling like you were the better team, like you should have won the ball game. And I know there were a lot of Alabama fans. It wasn't like, oh, we came out and dominated Clemson like it usually is. It's
right.
We got away with one.
I think there was a new respect for Clemson from Alabama fans. I really do. And I heard Colin Cowherd here on Fox Sports Radio 1400 yesterday basically laying it out there to the SEC saying, hey, look, you guys, it's Alabama and there's nobody else. And so all of a sudden, as we mentioned here yesterday, it felt like the way Clemson dominated Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl, reminiscent of the way Alabama dominated Michigan State last year in the Cotton Bowl. And the thought process, I think, sort of became, whoa, this game may actually be much different than we thought. So much so that Reese Davis and other guys on ESPN, I mean, almost immediately started talking about, whoa, hey, now, this is a game where I think Clemson can win. Now, what I'll be interested to see and hear over the next couple of days is how some of the guys who picked against Clemson, some of those guys that were sort of out there, Desmond Howard, Joey Galloway, I haven't heard their takes, and I don't like to listen to other media, but occasionally when you're leading up to a game and you're watching the pregame show, you're going to hear that stuff. They didn't think Clemson had a chance. They thought Clemson was going to lose, and they didn't think it was going to be close. So we'll see how it goes. I know we've got David on the line with us tonight, wants to talk about the national championship. David, welcome into Clemson Sports Talk. How's it going, man?
Well, great, man. I can barely concentrate on work or anything, man. I'm not sleeping real well. I'm just ready to start driving down 95.
I hear you.
But I can't leave till Sunday morning early, so I got a few more days to go. But I've not been as confident about a game all year, except for maybe SC State. I'm telling you, I've analyzed this thing every which way, and yeah, I just think Clemson's going to dominate Alabama. And people kind of woke up this year, and all of a sudden the ACC is the best conference in the country. And it's going to take about 5 or 6 years for people, especially people around here in South Carolina or Southeast, to realize it, because they live in the past. But the ACC has gotten pretty good pretty quickly, and but this isn't about conferences. This is about the better team. Clemson is going to dominate their defense. The depth that we have on defense is going to be able to stifle a one-dimensional Alabama attack. Jalen Hurts is not going to be able to handle the pressure that we apply to him from the defensive line, and we're going to force him into making mistakes, and we're going to shut down the run, and then Deshaun Watson's going to do what Deshaun Watson does, and Clemson's going to win by 10 to 14 points, and we're going to be national champions again for the first time in 35 years. Mark it down. Talk to y'all later.
David, it sounds good. I hope it happens. I'll tell you, when you look at, I think this is where I think so many people are kind of turning towards Clemson as we get closer and closer. And it's hard to do because as somebody who covers it, I don't like having that bitter disappointment at the end of these games. I've done my best since I've been on the air here in Columbia, and I really hope that our Gamecock listeners, maybe even more so than the Clemson listeners, understand that I try never to get just overly built up about what Clemson is right now. I mean, I really don't. I've got a lot of respect for the program we've built, got a lot of respect for the way they've done it, what they've done, the winning streaks last year, this year, just everything. It's been a heck of a ride. I put that out on social media the other day. Win, lose, or draw in the Fiesta Bowl. This has not been a bad time to be a Clemson Tiger fan. But I think a lot of people all of a sudden are looking at Clemson and they're going, it's a very good defense. And Jalen Hurts is a very good quarterback. But he's not nearly the quarterback or the player right now in his career that Deshaun Watson is. And I think people believe that Deshaun Watson is so much further ahead of Jalen Hurts. And I think people believe that these defenses are complementary of one another in terms of how good they are, that people go, this favors Clemson. I'll say this, and I don't know if I mentioned it yesterday, but Clemson is better this year offensively than they were last year. They've got Mike Williams. They've got Deion Kane. Everything else basically equal to what they had coming into the matchup last year. They were minus their top 2 receivers last season against Alabama, and they put up 40 points. Offensive line has played well. Deshaun Watson is fresh. You're going to see more Deshaun Watson runs in this game, I guarantee you, than you have all year. I'll be stunned if that doesn't happen. I think Clemson's defense is better than last year's defense, which is incredible given the fact that Shaq Lawson and Kevin Dodd, Mackenzie Alexander, and Jaron Kearse, and TJ Green, 5 guys there, all leaving early, turning pro early. And yet Clemson's defense is better in 2016, 2017, I think Alabama's offense is worse. And I'm hard-pressed to believe that their defense is better. I'll tell you what their defense is this year. It is more opportunistic than last year's defense. They have scored more, and that's going to be a big part of this game. Anthony wants to talk about the Tigers football team heading into that national championship on Monday. Anthony, what's up?
Hey, fellas, how y'all doing?
Doing well, man.
First of all, man, it's proud to be Clemson fan. The last 3-4 years, that boy has done a hell of a job. I always felt in my gut ever since the day he was hired, he was the man who's going to get the job done, and boy, he's proven my gut right.
Yeah.
The game the other night, man, kudos to Brent Venables.
Ooh.
This guy came out and showed different tendencies. He showed everything different than what he's been showing all year. Kudos to Brent Venables for doing that. I mean, man, that was the key to the game. The man called a hell of a game. I hope he do the same thing again this week. I think the key to this against Alabama, I think if Clemson offensive line can hold up, game over, brother. Game over. I think the defense is going to do well against the offense. I agree with what you're saying about Alabama offense. But if Clemson offensive line can do a decent job, lights out, Clemson going to be bringing home the trophy, man.
Anthony, appreciate the phone call. Listen, I'm beginning to hear more and more from Clemson Tiger fans that they think this is Clemson's year. I think also another part of this thing that favors Clemson right now, the rematch factor. The fact that Clemson had to sit around all year, all offseason last year, realizing how close they were and how they felt like they let this championship slip out of their fingers. Now, look, I'm not going to tell you that Nick Saban and Alabama are a bunch of chumps and they're no good. They are. They're tremendously talented. But again, I think Clemson comes into this game better offensively and better defensively than they were last year. And I can't say the same thing for Alabama. And that is a huge part of how this game may play out, in my opinion. We're back in 3 here on Fox Sports Radio.
When a stroke happens, every second counts. So don't drive and call 911 to get to the emergency department as soon as possible. At Lexington Medical Center, we're pleased to serve our community. As a certified primary stroke center, our acute stroke team rapidly evaluates patients and provides them with the fastest treatment possible. This specialized care limits the chance of brain damage and gives stroke patients a better chance of full recovery. Act quickly at the first sign of a stroke and count on the Stroke Center at Lexington Medical Center to provide you with the best possible care.
Looking to get away without having to spend a whole day traveling to your destination? Ocean Reef Resort offers 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom accommodations with the comforts of home and boasts the best oceanfront views. Experience not only our pools, hot tubs, and lazy river, but also our delicious on-site banana boat lounge and cafe, family game room, fitness center, banquet facilities, and much more. Visit us at oceanreefmyrtlebeach.com or call us at 1-866-935-0530 to learn more.
For 28 years, the professional staff of the Hobbs Group and Hobbs Group Advisors has been dedicated to helping others achieve their financial goals by delivering quality, objective financial and accounting solutions to a diverse client base of individuals and businesses all over South Carolina. We offer tax and audit services, bookkeeping, payroll, litigation support, employee benefits, personal financial planning, investment management, and insurance services. Please call us at 803-799-0555 or visit our website, hobbscpa.com, to learn more about our people and services.
Attention, anyone who's suffering from lower back pain. Right now, HealthSource is offering our listeners an absolutely free back pain consultation on a first-come, first-served basis by calling 803-218-9047. Our doctors can find the root cause of your lower back pain and show you how to get well fast and stay well longer. No more pain. No more feeling worn out. Essentially, no more not feeling like yourself. Call 803-218-9047.
Cottingham Family Dentistry is proud to announce the opening of their new office located at 3722 Devine Street, and they're welcoming new patients. What makes Cottingham Family Dentistry different? It's in the name, family. They will cater to your needs and the dental needs of your children. Cottingham Family Dentistry offers same-day crowns, dental implants, cosmetic dentistry, including whitening, veneers, and tooth-colored fillings, and many other dental services. If you're searching for an amazing dental home, call 776-4234 or stop by their new office at 3722 Devine Street and become a part of the family at Cottingham Family Dentistry.
Lawton Swan here, and I know in sports we're always talking about the big guy. Well, let me tell you, when you're buying a car, you don't need that. What you need to do is head down to Orangeburg to my good friends at Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac. 4 generations of family-owned business right there at Ferry Chevrolet. No dock fees, no tricks, straightforward pricing in a low-pressure environment you'll love. Check them out online, ferrychevrolet.com, or call them 803-536-1600. It's Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac, just a short 30-minute drive off of exit 145A in Orangeburg. Do you need lodging for your next Tigers game? To get a real game day experience, skip the hotel and stay close to campus in one of Rent Like a Champion's comfortable vacation homes. You can call Rent Like a Champion, a Mark Cuban company featured on ABC Shark Tank, at 855-BIG-GAME to set up your weekend lodging today.
From Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer tonight, the skies will be clear and the temperature is pretty chilly, mid-30s for lows. Tomorrow, a mix of clouds and sun, but mostly sunny in the afternoon, and the highs only upper 50s. For Channel 25 ABC Columbia, I'm Chief Meteorologist John Farley.
This report is brought to you by the National Kidney Foundation.
Donate your old car, truck, or van to the National Kidney Foundation. It's tax deductible and will help fund research for kidney disease. Just call 1-800-488-CARS. The Kidney Cars Program.
Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show in the chat room at clemsonsportstalk.com.
Biggie.
It is Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan, Lowell the intern. Thank you so much for being here on the Wednesday edition of the Hurry Up No Huddle Sports Talk Express as we head towards another weekend. Some wintry weather coming through, but then nothing bad. Like I don't think this is like go get the milk and all that. I don't think. I'm not a meteorologist, but again, it doesn't matter. I'll be out of here anyway. I'll be in Tampa on Friday.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, you're going to skip all the...
Yeah, I'm just...
Getting out at the right time.
Think about it like this. There's one extra loaf of milk or a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk available for you if you do panic. But, that being said, I'm headed down to Tampa. Clemson fans will be making their way down shortly. It won't take long. And it's incredible that for 2 consecutive years now we've had a chance to talk about this. I mean, the build-up to the national championship game. You talk about a couple of the luckiest schmucks in the business, me and Lowell the intern here, to be able to dive into our favorite team well into January, 2 straight seasons. Good gracious. And as I mentioned yesterday, I never would have thought that we would see this success. And I know the conversations are going to start about, has Dabo Swinney eclipsed Danny Ford already? We actually reached out to Danny Ford. We're going to try to line him up for tomorrow. But when I look at this Clemson Tiger team, again, as I mentioned before the break, I don't think it's close in terms of Clemson being better offensively and defensively than they were last year. And I don't think I'm wrong in saying that Alabama is not as good as they were offensively. Defensively, I think they are right on par. But I also think that with Watson at quarterback, he can overcome some adversity. He can overcome and withstand an interception.
Well, you saw it in the Fiesta Bowl. Watson had 2 interceptions, one on the first drive on his first throw, and then one when you're up 10-0 looking to go up 17 points and kind of start pulling away. Both of these are situations that can be backbreakers. And you saw that not only Watson, but the entire team was able to overcome that and blank Ohio State 31-0. So a couple of interceptions isn't going to crush this team. And I think it's interesting that we talk about Alabama's defense and, you know, how they turn you over. They're a bunch of ball hawks. They're opportunistic.
Yeah.
They're certainly opportunistic, Clemson's defense has more interceptions on the year than Alabama.
That's the most shocking statistic I've heard all year.
Now, Alabama's returned more for touchdown.
Yes.
But, you talk about ball hawks. Clemson's one of the top teams in the country in getting interceptions. Got more than this Alabama defense.
Lowell, every day I put out, I go ahead and create some graphics, and I set it all up so that tomorrow some things will come out on social media that'll give a little quote, etc., from yesterday's show to kind of entice some new listeners to come into the fold. I have a sneaky feeling that little tidbit, that nugget that you just dropped, you may actually get featured in one of those tomorrow. So pat yourself on the back, young Padawan learner, for bringing the heat on that front. It is incredible when you think about that stat. I like when you said it, I almost passed out. Clemson has forced more turnovers, more interceptions this year than Alabama. That's wild. And when you talk about Jalen Hurts coming into this game, again, versus Deshaun Watson, who would you trust more? Can we just assume for a second? I don't know that Alabama is necessarily. The majority of football games, right? The majority of games that you watch, no matter who's playing, objective number one is stop the run, right? I mean, you hear that more often. They can't stop the run. They're getting gashed up front. Stop the run. With Alabama, I feel like if you stop the run, Jalen Hurts is going to struggle significantly to move the ball down the field vertically. 2,649 yards passing, 22 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, about 64% completion percentage, which is pretty good. But he has really struggled lately.
Let's dive into a little deeper into Jalen Hurts' numbers here, because I saw some numbers on Twitter that kind of, you look at these, it makes you feel good as a Clemson fan because you feel like you're going to get pressure on Jalen Hurts. You feel like you're going to stop the run. You feel like you're going to get pressure. If those two things happen, Jalen Hurts is not good under pressure. He was 0 for 4 under pressure against Washington. He has completed 30.3% of his pass attempts under pressure this season. A little over 30%. That's not very good. When he's throwing the ball at least 5 yards down the field.
And this is where I'm sure it's going to get interesting, because Alabama with Calvin Ridley, they do a lot of the little speed sweep, the forward pitch that counts. It's a part of their rushing game. It's a lot like what Clemson used to do and still does to some degree. Go ahead. I'm anxious to hear what you got, because I think I know exactly where this is going.
When he's thrown at least 5 yards down the field under pressure, a little under 24%. That's not good. That's not a good sign for an Alabama offense that's going to face a Clemson defensive front that just obliterated what I think is a more explosive offense.
I agree. They have a better rushing attack when you think of the three-headed monster with Hurts, Scarborough, and Harris, obviously. Containing O.J. Howard is going to be a big part of this game as well for Clemson. They've been susceptible this year to the tight end. But outside of Adarius Stewart and Calvin Ridley in the downfield passing game, there's not much. And like you said, if you're pressuring Hurts, he's not an accurate downfield passer, and he is nowhere near the weapon that Deshaun Watson is. More on that when we get back. Stay with us.
The most valuable thing we have in life is time. You can't get it back. Save your time and do something good for your car with a basic interior and exterior cleaning from Mobile Works Auto Detailing. Keep your car looking sharp with several different packages featuring everything from the basic wash and vacuum to the works, which includes seat cleaning and headlight restoration. Save your time and still have a sharp car. Call Mobile Works Auto Detailing today at 743-8867 or online at mobileworksautodetailing.com. Tiger fans, look no further than the Tiger Sports Shop in Clemson for all your game day gear. Since 1974, they brought you everything Clemson for the Clemson fan, with quality brand names such as Nike, Under Armour, Antigua, Ping, and many more. From hats to t-shirts to tailgate, the Tiger Sports Shop has all the Clemson apparel a true Tiger fan needs. With 2 convenient game day locations in Tigertown, shop where I shop at I Am Ibrahim's Tiger Sports Shop. They fuel the passion of Tiger fans everywhere. Check them out online, tigersports.com.
Do you need lodging for your next Tigers game? To get a real game day experience, skip the hotel and stay close to campus in one of Rent Like a Champion's comfortable vacation homes. You can call Rent Like a Champion, a Mark Cuban company featured on ABC Shark Tank, at 855-BIG-GAME to set up your weekend lodging today.
Our iHeartRadio Music Awards are back. The only award show you control by listening to your favorite iHeartRadio stations all year long. Bruno Mars and more of the year's biggest artists will be live at the Forum in LA and on TBS March 5th.
The winner is...
Chase card holders can get the best seats in the house first. Purchase tickets using your Chase credit or debit card during the Chase presale now through Friday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Visit iHeartRadio.com/Chase for more.
Looking for South Carolina's favorite country? You'll find it at 97.5 WCOS.
Bounce with it, huh? Let it bump though.
Eight 803-978-1832. The Clemson Tiger contingent and faithful hoping to make it a hard knock life on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Lowell, we put out a poll yesterday. You may remember it. There was a question out there for a lot of our Gamecock listeners and those Gamecocks that follow us on social media. There are a lot. Believe me, when the news came out today about the whole, I don't even know what you call it, buttgate, whatever you want to call it, where a couple of Clemson players have grabbed a few rear ends, I guess, on the field, and it's bothered some people really bad. Yet, some of the same people, well, I won't even go there. I'll just leave that out of the conversation. But anyway, to make a long story short, in terms of the poll question, I've got a lot of Gamecocks that follow me on Twitter. They want to know about the Hurry Up No Huddle Sports Talk Express. I put out that poll. We got Mark Packer coming up in hour number 2, by the way, the Pac-Man here on Clemson Sports Talk. Any Gamecock fans out there rooting for the Tigers, who you got? And I asked Tiger fans not to vote and skew the results. Now, we had 170 votes come in. 72% said they're pulling for Clemson. That doesn't seem logical to me at all, Lowell. 72%. So I asked, I said, hey, look, this is interesting. I know some of you voted, and some people are like, yeah, I voted for my neighbor. I thought he would be pulling for Clemson. So I know our vote is skewed some. I find it hard to believe. It really bothers me a little bit, Lowell, that Clemson fans would vote in this poll even though I asked them not to. What do you think, Lowell? Our poll said 72% of Gamecocks would be pulling for Clemson versus Alabama. And I know a lot of Gamecocks take heat about being kind of a Clemson fan, or excuse me, a South Carolina fan while they're still playing, and then after the season maybe falling in line with the Roll Tide. Honest to goodness, Lowell, what percentage of South Carolina fans are pulling for Clemson to win? Because there has to be some.
I will say this. There is a contingency of people who believe that both teams winning is good for the state. There are those people who believe that.
Both teams in Clemson and South Carolina. Right. Good for the state.
Good for the state. I will also say I think there are some people who think that, but will not admit it at the risk of being ridiculed by other South Carolina fans, which is why I think having an anonymous poll allows them to be open and honest about how they feel about the game. I also think there's a contingency of South Carolina fans who do not like Nick Saban and who do not like Alabama and won't necessarily poll for Clemson, but they will poll against Alabama.
In the grand scheme of playing in the national championship game, okay? In the grand scheme of South Carolina and Will Muschamp building a national championship contender, which team winning actually hurts South Carolina more? I think it's Alabama. Here's why. I believe, based on the system that we have in place, South Carolina is going to have to compete with Clemson no matter what. Even if South Carolina could not beat Clemson in the regular season, but they managed to go undefeated and win the East and the SEC, and then could defeat Alabama, they can be in the top 4 in the college football playoff. Reverse that. Go undefeated through Clemson, but lose to Alabama in the SEC championship game. Even if you have one loss, that may not be enough to get you in, because you might get overlooked by the other conference winners, especially if they are undefeated. So by default, I think a one-loss South Carolina team with an SEC championship in some futuristic world where South Carolina is on par with Clemson right now, I think they're actually better off with Clemson being the better of the two teams long term. That might not taste good every November if you're getting your teeth kicked in by 49 points like it happened this past season, but one would believe that if the Gamecocks were competitive on the field of play and in the run for a national championship, that dynamic of 49 points being the difference would not exist. If you're following that logic.
I'm going to come at it from another perspective, kind of.
72% now in our poll.
As far as recruiting goes, I think Clemson and South Carolina go head-to-head for recruits much less often than people think. Yeah, you're going to go head-to-head in state. But Clemson goes out and recruits Florida. They recruit Georgia. They recruit North Carolina. They go to Texas and get some guys. They're competing head-to-head with South Carolina much less than you would expect. Meanwhile, I think they kind of have to, they're forced to go head-to-head with Alabama in recruiting because they're in the same conference. I think that forces them to clash way more often than it forces Clemson and South Carolina outside of the state. So from that perspective, you would rather have Alabama come down a couple of notches, which, I mean, they're always going to get their guys, but you'd like to see some of those guys go somewhere else, I think. So maybe that can be something else that gets thrown into the equation when you consider who you're pulling for.
Is it easier to win the national championship at South Carolina with Clemson being one of the best teams in America or Alabama being one of the best teams in America? Either way, it is difficult.
Right.
I think it's easier with Clemson being the better team.
Well, yeah, because obviously you have to run through Alabama in the SEC championship if you get there.
Yes.
Right.
Therefore, for a South Carolina fan who's using logic and reason, that 72%, like you say, in an anonymous poll, may not be all that far off. Now, they don't want to have to deal with the Clemson fans after they win a national championship, and I understand that. I understand that. But in the long run for South Carolina in the SEC, oddly enough, you're probably better off with Clemson winning this game and kind of hoping that spells the end of Nick Saban or the end of this era, this run. And maybe, if you're really fortunate, what could happen is perhaps Dabo Swinney packs his bags and moves on to Alabama, and then Clemson falls into the tank. And then the Tigers struggle because they don't have Dabo Swinney, and now they're like a rudderless ship that's headed in no direction whatsoever. Now, that's a long-term scenario, but I was stunned at 72%. Again, there's probably some percentage of Clemson Tiger fans who voted anyway just to throw the poll, which is disappointing. Let's talk to AJ real quick. We got about a minute and a half, AJ, if that. He wants to talk about Christian Wilkins. AJ, what's up?
Hey, not much, buddy. What are your thoughts about the grab it under the pile thing, man? Unless I missed it, I don't think you hit on that yet. Seems, it's kind of funny. I don't really like that. It seems a little bad. I don't want to say bad sportsmanship, but kind of a dirty, would you say dirty move?
You know what we'll do? We will talk about that. We've got Mark Packer, AJ, coming up in hour number 2 at 7:05. We'll talk about that the first 5 minutes of hour number 2. I can't say I've seen it before. I'm sure it happens all the time. I've talked with former players. They always talk about what happens underneath the pile when you've got the football under there and people are trying to get to that loose ball. That was not exactly under a pile trying to get to a loose ball. But I do think that in some ways it was a level of gamesmanship trying to maybe get in the minds of somebody else. But I talked to some former players today who told me, Swanee, on the field, you don't even feel that. You wouldn't even, like, the player in that moment would not recognize that as somebody grabbing him or messing with him as much as they would recognize it as somebody getting up off the pile. Like, just trying to lift themselves up off the ground and placing their hand in what we would call an uncomfortable spot, AJ. But, yes, we'll talk about it more. I'm not sure what we call it, but we'll call it something when we get back here on Fox Sports Radio and iHeart Radio. Stay with us.
Our customers receive the best heating and air conditioning service in South Carolina. Hi, I'm Tim Mosley, and I can make that statement because that's what our customers tell us every day. We call it quality confirmed. Call us at 803-233-7172, and we'll call you when the job is done to confirm we met your expectations. That's quality confirmed. We're Carolina Conditions, and we're committed to meeting your expectations. 803-233-7172. Call us at 803-233-7172.
Hi, my name is Donald Kidwell, current owner of CrossFit Iron Mary's. After finding CrossFit in 2012, I lost 128 pounds. At CrossFit Iron Mary's, you're not a barcode, you're an actual person. Where you are now is not important. Where you want to be is. 3 locations to reach your fitness goals in Columbia: the Old Mill in Lexington, Trotter Road in West Columbia, and downtown near the Carolina Baseball Stadium. Check us out online at CrossFitIronMarys.com or give us a call at 803-414-9601. Set up your first set of free classes today at CrossFit Iron Mary's, 803-414-9601.
For 28 years, the professional staff of the Hobbs Group and Hobbs Group Advisors has been dedicated to helping others achieve their financial goals by delivering quality, objective financial and accounting solutions to a diverse client base of individuals and businesses all over South Carolina. We offer tax and audit services, bookkeeping, payroll, litigation support, employee benefits, personal financial planning, investment management, and insurance services. Please call us at 803-799-0555 or visit our website, hobbscpa.com, to learn more about our people and services.
When it's time to replace your roof, it is a big decision. Hey, it's Lawton Swan for Lakeside Construction of Columbia. Why choose Lakeside? They have an A on Angie's List and also with the Better Business Bureau. And they are an Owens Corning preferred contractor. They do a free damage inspection and they work on your behalf with the insurance company. Call Lakeside Construction of Columbia today at 358-0109 or on the web at lakesidecola.com. Lakeside Construction of Columbia, your local insurance roof replacement specialist. lakesidecola.com.
Talking to all the fabulous brides-to-be, you've got the ring, not what. Plan your dream wedding at the Carolina Bridal Showcase, Sunday, January 8th. Everything for your wedding under one roof, just one afternoon. The best wedding pros. Food, drinks, and fun, their selfie stations, prizes, and giveaways. Oh my God, so much more. Sponsored by Carolina Bride Magazine, American Floral, Hilton Columbia Center, Columbia Bridal Associates, Southern Way Catering, Casca Productions, and iHeart Media. Tickets are at bridecityshows.com. That's bridecityshows.com. VarietyShows.com.
If you or someone you know is struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, or if it's a mental health, depression issue, behavioral, or eating disorder problem, you have to know you are not alone. Call the Addiction Recovery Hotline today at 1-800-214-4172. That's 1-800-214-4172. This is a completely confidential, free service available 24/7 with addiction advisors who will let you know about treatment options, from short-term detox programs to intensive outpatient programs that allow you to still go to work or school, to 30-day inpatient programs. The goal is to find the right program or facility to put your life back on track. Don't lose your job, your family, your life, or loved ones. Know your options. Call the Addiction Recovery Hotline today before it's too late. Plus, there are programs for parents to help with teens that they suspect may be having problems. Call the Addiction Recovery Hotline at 1-800-214-4172. Call 1-800-214-4172 today.
From the TrueCar.com studios, the new way to buy a car. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400, WCOS Columbia. Available anywhere you go on the iHeart.
Fox Sports Trending now.
Kicking things off in college football, where USC quarterback Sam Darnold has won the Archie Griffin Award for college football's most valuable player the entire season. He was the first freshman ever to win the award. Meanwhile, at Ohio State, Buckeyes quarterback J.T. Barrett has announced that he will return for his senior season. Auburn defensive end Carl Lawson has declared for the NFL Draft. Skipping over to college basketball, just coming down the wire 5 minutes ago, Grayson Allen will start tonight for Duke against Georgia Tech. The Blue Devils set out for one game because of his suspension. Meanwhile, National Football League news, Tom Savage out for the Houston Texans. Lamar Miller, he practiced today for the club, even with his bad ankle. He missed weeks 16 and 17 with the team. No word yet on Ryan Tannehill. He did not practice today for the Miami Dolphins. They traveled to Pittsburgh for Wild Card Weekend. I'm David Gascon.
We are One More. It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Ready, set, just call me Swanee.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
It is hour number 2. That's primetime right here on Fox Sports Radio and iHeart Radio. Lawton Swan Lowell, the intern, will be joined by Mark Packer coming up in just a little bit. Duke coach Mike Krzyzewski, his last game before he goes out with back surgery on Friday. Again, I tweeted out earlier, are they going to announce whether or not the wins and losses count towards Coach K or to his assistants? Last time he was out back in 94-95, the Blue Devils tanked. Those losses went to Coach K. Until a couple of years, I believe it was down the road, they vacated those losses and gave them to the assistant coaches to keep Coach K's record looking really, really good. I would like that in writing, Duke. Are they going to go to Capel or Coach K? Thanks in advance. Mark Packer again coming up in just a minute. Back to Squeezegate. I don't know another term for it. Again, during the Fiesta Bowl, caught on tape, Christian Wilkins. What a sad story, too, about Christian Wilkins, if you watch that, about his grandfather accidentally being shot by police in his home while he was laying on the ground. The officer, apparently, according to the investigation, tripped. And that was many years ago. That's why Christian Wilkins wears number 42 in honor of his granddad. That was the year his grandfather was born. But Wilkins kind of gave a little pinch in the rump. I don't know any other way to say it. Then Zach Bailey, South Carolina offensive lineman, put out a tweet earlier today of Ben Boulware getting him a little pinch of a little hiney out on the football field as well. I don't like it. I'll be honest with you about that, because I think it is now so overplayed in terms of social media and the ability of people to share it and be critical of silly, stupid little things like that. I really hope those guys don't do that kind of stuff anymore. But for every athlete I've talked to that's played football, 90% of them have said to me, that kind of junk goes on all the time. It's just not caught on tape or seen by everybody. And I can imagine what used to go on before there was a camera in everybody's hand, in a cell phone, and immediate replays available of the games, etc. I can only imagine what kind of stuff went on previously.
There's some guys who like to get in other people's heads. You see it on the basketball court all the time, people who jaw. Football field, you definitely see people jawing at each other all the time and trying to kind of get after each other. Did you see what Curtis Samuel put out on Twitter? He said if he had saw it, if he had felt it, obviously he didn't feel it, but he said had he felt it, he would have been ejected from the game. That's exactly the type of reaction that these guys are looking for. If you let them, get in your head and you get kicked out of the game, you're hurting your team. And, if that happens, it happens. And that's kind of the reaction they're looking for.
Well, I'll go back to what I said earlier. When you're getting off of a pile like that, when you're kind of unpacking, and that's not exactly what was happening there, guys, I guarantee you get pushed on by the back of their legs, their rear ends. People are just trying to get up from a pile. Now, that was not, again, what happened. But my point being, that's why I didn't even recognize it as anything happening funny. He just probably thought somebody was trying to get up. But nonetheless, Clemson with a 31-0 victory over Ohio State. That story sure to not go anywhere. You want to go over and read about or search for what Ben Boulware had to say about it. Ben Boulware, who is a guy who, if he's on your team, you love. If he's against your team, you hate. I mean, let's face it. That's who Ben Boulware is. If he's playing for your team, I'll guarantee you this, Lowell. I don't care. You're talking South Carolina, Florida State, whomever. If Ben Boulware is out there at linebacker for your program, you love that. You love a guy like Ben Boulware. When he's against you, he's the guy you loathe. And that's the role Ben Boulware wants. Mark Packer joining us now here on Clemson Sports Talk. You can hear him each and every day on Sirius XM College Sports Today. And Mark, again, we're kind of talking about this squeeze gate or whatever you want to call it. But my point being more so than anything, a guy like Ben Boulware at linebacker, his job is to get into the heads of his opponent. Same thing for the defensive linemen. They're going to do whatever they can to get your goat. And whether people like it, think it's wrong, whatever, it's certainly a part of the game that takes place in the huddles, and former players will tell you, under the piles, and former players will tell you that. I think what happened here in this scenario for Clemson, again, I don't like it, but it happened, and it was visible, and now you're getting the reaction from the people who saw it.
This is what happens when we run out of bowl games, and we've got days for the national championship. And Robert Smith, who has played at the ultimate level, is my partner today, and he started the show going off on this, and I stopped him. I said, Robert, I just want to ask you a simple question. You played big-time football at Ohio State. You played in the National Football League. Tell me the worst thing that's ever happened to you in a pile. And so he describes some crazy stuff that happened, punches and twisting of ankles and talking about your mom and everything else. And I said, when he came out of the pile, did you go to the ref and say, hey, that guy needs to be thrown out? He said, no. I said, can we move forward now and go on with more important things? Because, this to me is what happens when we don't have anything else about for 5 days. Did what Wilkins do, was that ridiculous? It was. But guess what? Crazy stuff happens in the college football game. Crazy stuff happens in the high school game. Crazy stuff happens in the National Football League. Last time I checked, it's still 31-0 in Phoenix. It's still 24-7 in Atlanta. The two best teams in college football play Monday night, and it can't get here fast enough.
Mark, I agree with you 100%. And I was saying, as you got on the line with us talking about Ben Boulware, he's a guy, when he's on your team, you love him. He's a guy, when you're playing against him, you hate him. I know throughout your career covering sports, there have been a lot of guys like that. I would say Brian Bosworth falls in the line, and really maybe even a Christian Laettner on the basketball court. What is it about guys like Ben Boulware that people love and both hate?
Oh, he's a competitor. He's a bulldog. He's a gym rat. He's a guy that I think that probably doesn't get enough credit for his physical skills. I think if you've ever stood beside him, which I know you had, you kind of look at him and go, this guy's causing all this havoc, and
he's a guy that's looking to get underneath your skin and the guy that can play. So, that's just what it is. So I've listened to so many calls today.
Yeah.
Stuff. You just start laughing, going, "Really? This is all we got to talk about? You got to be kidding."
Mark, is it fair to say heading into a rematch from last year's national championship, Clemson is better offensively and defensively, and perhaps Alabama is not as good offensively and maybe not as good defensively as they were last year?
Well, I think they're better. I'm talking about Alabama. I think is better. They're different. And again, I think both teams are different in a sense, and I think that's why you can't really compare what happened last year, even though it was a sensational game. It was one of the all-time great games. But Bama has tweaked, and that's what great coaches do. Bama's going to see from Clemson where, they didn't have to deal with Mike Williams and Deion Kane last year. Those are two Frisbee-catching 6'4" dogs now. So, and Clemson, from an offensive standpoint, to me, what's going to be the most important part of this entire game is can Clemson keep Deshaun Watson upright? This is a different defensive front than really what they saw last year. This is more of a pressure, speed, coming to take your head off. And if Clemson's offensive line can sustain that and keep Watson upright so he can take advantage of this Alabama secondary, which I think he can, then Clemson's in great shape. If they can't, and Clemson's got to now put more guys in the backfield to contain, of all the studs that are coming around that defensive front, then that takes away an advantage and gives it to Bama. So, again, this is going to be a great cat-and-mouse game. Nick Saban's the best in the business. You can't argue that. They're looking for their 5th national championship in 8 years. The fact that Dabo's gotten the Tigers back to back-to-back seasons in terms of national championships, sensational. I think this game Monday night is going to be awesome. I really do. It's the two best teams in college football.
Mark Packer here on Clemson Sports Talk tonight, hanging out with us, previewing the national championship game between the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Clemson Tigers. And, Mark, when you look at Nick Saban making the move to get rid of Lane Kiffin, so to speak, and maybe some of the baggage that seemed to hang around him and insert Steve Sarkisian. If we had 3 weeks before this bowl game, I would go, man, you know what, that might change things up a whole lot. But everybody I've talked to says, hey, it's not going to change things a whole lot. Do you expect to see a whole lot different from Alabama?
No. I mean, they're not going to reinvent their offense in a 6-day period, which includes a road trip. I mean, if you think all of a sudden Sark is now in play and, hey, we're going to throw the ball 50 times if you're the Tide, they're crazy. And they're going to do what they do best. The reason they've won 8,000 games in a row is because here's what Alabama does. They're going to line up. They're going to try to punch you in the face. Now, they've got more diversity, I think, this year with Jalen Hurts back there as opposed to Coker last year. So, no, I don't think it's going to change a whole lot of anything, to be honest with you. And, again, we'll watch the game Monday night and look back and realize how stupid we were trying to break all this stuff down. But I think Alabama is going to worry about Alabama and do what they do best. They'll have great focus. They will be motivated. Listen, they're looking to go 15-0, be the first time ever. They're looking for their 5th national championship, and Nick Saban's going to be motivated like nobody's business to tie Bear Bryant's record, and the same thing holds true for Clemson. I mean, they've been waiting for a chance to play Bama again. They exercised some demons last week in Phoenix and played great. And these are the two best teams in college football. And it's, again, kind of funny. Earlier in the week when we did our show on Monday, by the time we got back, people were talking and yelling about Ohio State shouldn't have been in there. Nonsense. I mean, the committee got it right. I mean, the object is to get the two best teams to play for the national championship, and that's exactly what we get Monday night in Tampa.
Sirius XM 84 College Sports Today. He is Mark Packer joining us here on Clemson Sports Talk. And Mark, with your program being heard worldwide on Sirius XM, I do have to ask the question. It sure seemed like after the way Clemson went about dismantling Ohio State, the conversation sort of changed a little bit about the vulnerability of Alabama. And people started to say, hey, you know what? We really think this Clemson Tiger team stands a great chance against Alabama. Did you hear that from your listeners as well over the past few days?
I think we heard it during the season. Even when Clemson struggled, I think when people said, hey, who can beat Alabama? I mean, in a perfect world, who is the team or teams or coach or whatever combo you want that is dialed in chance to play Alabama for a national championship, and everything is right, that they hit on all cylinders? Who is that team? I think everybody all season thought it was Clemson. What was the problem? The disconnect was Clemson wasn't consistent during the regular season. I mean, they would give you some highs, some lows. Even within a game, they would give you a glimpse of, wow, holy mackerel, they look great. And they'd give you a glimpse of, man, they're a little sloppy with the ball. They're not tackling well. What's the problem? And now we get to this position, and I think most people would agree that you got to have a quarterback that plays downfield. And there is nobody better in college football, in my opinion, than Deshaun Watson in terms of the skill, the people that are surrounding him, and the fact he's got experience in playing the game like this. So I think the fact that Clemson defensively was so good Saturday night and dominating Ohio State, you kind of get to probably score some. But, man, if that defense comes to play and you watch the Alabama, I think all of a sudden people are thinking, man, this game might be a lot closer than what we thought. So you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Believe me, had you asked me a question last week after doing the media day with Ohio State and Clemson, I would have told you it was going to be a high-scoring, close game, back and forth. And then you watch that thing unfold Saturday night, and you go, holy man, what were we thinking? Why did we ever think this game was going to be close? So you just never know what you're going to get. When it gets right down to it, it's still a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-old kids out there playing.
In your eyes, Mark, there's obviously a lot of great coaches in college football, but with his win over Urban Meyer, what does that do in back-to-back trips to the national championship game for Dabo Swinney in terms of perhaps his national resume? Because a lot of times, in fairness, people don't talk about him. Has he put himself in the top 5 already, in your opinion?
Top, you got to put him. You certainly is in the discussion of top 5, but you know, I think when it gets into this kind of conversation, when you start ranking coaches,
yeah,
you better have a national championship to your resume. You know, to me, Jimbo Fisher would be a guy I'd put in that conversation. Urban Meyer's in that conversation. Nick Saban, needless to say, is in that conversation. I think so. When you start talking about the best coaches in college football, there's a bunch of them.
Right.
But when you start talking about the elite of the elite of the elites, having one of those on your resume kind of puts you in a different category. What Dabo has been able to do, which has been so impressive, is that you can see this thing building from year to year to year. They've had consistency in winning 10 or more games. They've now had consistency winning a division, which has become very difficult with Florida State and Louisville and the rest in the mix. They've gotten in the position where they're winning big-time program, beating the good teams, LSU's, Ohio State's, the Oklahomas, and not only winning, killing them. That's the other thing. It'd be one thing to say, yeah, well, you got to win, that's great. But when you start wearing out Bob Stoops and wearing out Urban Meyer, yeah, you get put on a pretty short list. But I think when you start talking about the elite of the elite, having a national championship on your resume changes everything.
Mark Packer here on Clemson Sports Talk tonight. Mark, all right, let's look at it from the perspective that you have and I have as well, being Clemson graduates. Just this run that Clemson's been on. Talk to us as maybe not so much the host of SiriusXM's College Sports Today, but Mark Packer, who was a graduate of that university and has watched this 20 months or so kind of unfold.
Incredibly proud as an alum, and I told this story today on the air. What I'm most looking forward to this weekend is taking my daughter, who is a sophomore at Clemson, who wanted to go last year to Phoenix, but it did make sense given her class schedule and traveled across country. And I told her, she was texting me in the third quarter when it was in hand. She goes, Dad, I'm working on flights, and we're driving down. I need a hotel room. And so she was already working me. And I'm like, work to do. Man, first of all, this game's got to end. Clemson needs to win for all this to happen. And number two, I still got to do a show till 1 o'clock in the morning afterwards. So we'll talk about when I get home. And as soon as I got home the next day, she was already working me over. And I said, listen, here's what I'm going to do. You can hang out with me in the media hotel, fly down. Don't worry about driving. You can hook up with your sorority girlfriends and all that stuff when you get down there. So I'm most looking forward to, as a Clemson alum, having a daughter who is a sophomore at Clemson, to experience a national championship weekend. And to me, regardless of what happens Monday night, win, lose, whatever the case may be, that, for me, will be the absolute best. And I go back when I was a freshman and Clemson won it all in the state of Florida in 1981. And if the Tigers are fortunate enough to play great and win Monday night, and for my to experience it, that would be the absolute best.
Mark, man, good luck. Safe travels to you and your daughter down there to Tampa. Hopefully we'll see you. I will get up with you about where we're going to be tailgating before the game. Would love to have you stop by, man.
That'd be good. Again, Happy New Year to all the Tigers and all the Clemson fans. And all the college football fans. It's been crazy, crazy year, but we're hopefully get a great game Monday night.
There you go. Mark Packer, thank you so much, Mark, for all your time this college football season. Hope to get up with Mark some, not only for the follow-up to the national championship game next week, but, again, we'll try to work him in from time to time during the basketball season as the ACC getting things underway this past weekend. Again, Clemson's comeback victory over Wake Forest. A 15-0 run to close that thing out. Marquise Reed, who we highlighted here earlier in the program, was really, really good down the stretch. He had a big 3 last night against North Carolina that gave the Tigers an opportunity to not just send that game into overtime, but gave Clemson a chance to win it late. Unfortunately, a couple of missed free throws by Avery Holmes. Things don't go the Tigers' way in the final 5 seconds. That one goes to OT. The better team prevails there in Little John Coliseum. Mark Packer, again, you can hear him each and every day, Sirius XM, Channel 84, College Sports Today. He goes from 4 till 7, and it's always good hearing from him. He's a former Clemson Tiger as well, and having children and knowing they're heading down to Tampa with me, man, I hope that my son's life, I hope he gets to see Clemson playing at this level than what I had to watch, which was good, but it wasn't quite here. We're back in 3.
Are you a business owner looking to add high-quality staff members? ProRecruits.net is the answer. Here's why ProRecruits.net is better than their competition. ProRecruits.net will guarantee their sales hires for 6 months, or they will replace them for free. ProRecruits.net is also locally owned and has lower pricing compared to the typical new hire contingency fees in the industry. ProRecruits.net offers a tremendous value for your recruiting dollars. Call Chris today at 704-737-9970 and let ProRecruits.net help your business grow.
Buddy Delaney for Best Mattress. Happy customers and great reviews are 2 of the big reasons we're celebrating our 88th year. To thank our loyal customers, we're offering a $50 referral bonus to any customer who refers a friend and $50 off to the new customer. In addition, a portion of each sale will be donated to 2 of our favorite local charities, Harvest Hope and Pets Inc. Come and help us celebrate our birthday and let us help those in need. Best Mattress.
Learn more at bestmattress.net.
Don't drive all the way to Lexington. JC's Outdoors has everything you need for hunting and fishing. We have ethanol-free gas for your boat, the absolute best cured live herring around, and all kinds of bait and tackle. We sell guns and ammo too. Check out the store for brands like Yeti, Costa Sunglasses, AFCO, Habo, and more. We're open at 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and serve breakfast and lunch. We are located 5 miles past Lake Murray Baptist Church on Highway 378 on the road to Larry Coon Landing. Check us out at the web at jcsoutdoors.net. Where a fishtail's just a cricket away.
This is Dave, and we're back on Pit Stop Radio. Listen to what our customers say about their pit stop.
I work as a secretary of a big organization. I come to Pit Stop maybe about twice a week. It's convenient and it's easy. After I get gas, I can go get tea or get something to eat. It doesn't matter. Any green tea is good for me. It's healthy. Very friendly. Yes, courteous, friendly, always helpful. The store is very clean.
Want convenience without compromise?
Don't stop till you're at Pit Stop.
At Columbia Metropolitan Airport, easy is getting wherever you need to be with the convenience of leaving right from your hometown. So next time you need to get to Chicago or anywhere else in the world, check us first and fly with ease at CAE.
Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show in the chat room at clemsonsportstalk.com.
It is the show that shakes the Southland. Lawton Swan. Lowell the Intern on Twitter at Lowell the Intern. Going to be with you here all week. Lowell will be in studio on Friday. I'll be in Tampa. Should be a lot of fun. So Lowell flying solo here in studio as the Clemson Tigers prepare for their matchup against the Alabama Crimson Tide. Do not plan on having a show on Monday of the game right now. That's what's most likely the scenario they'll play out. No show on Monday, as the game will begin right after we would be going off the air. And, of course, I want you to be able to get yourself set and scrappy, well prepared for that game. And then Tuesday, I'll be trucking it back from Tampa. LOWELL will be back in the building. And we'll get this show underway to talk about potentially your national champion, Clemson Tigers. Oh, boy, that sounds good, doesn't it? What? I started to think about this earlier today. If Clemson wins the national championship, I don't know what to talk about.
We could talk about our fresh new tattoos.
Oh, baby. Forgot about the tattoo pack. I mean, I didn't, but I did. I feel closer to a tattoo now than I did last year, in all honesty. I really do. What is Duke doing here to Georgia Tech? They got 31 points in 10 minutes. That's a pretty good clip. They're on pace to score 120 points right now. Yeah. I don't know that they're going to hit that. That is the pace they are on. Actually a little above it right now. 31 points in 9 minutes and 6 seconds. But Back there on that podcast every additional show. Don't forget you can text us. Thanks to our good friends at the Ocean Resort. The text line number 803-450-000086. But yesterday we got so caught up with everything going on in the world of college football. We get into the world of college football, and then of course college corner brought to you by our good friends down at Very Chevrolet Cadillac in Orangeburg.
Just a short shot down Route 26, exit 4045A, get Orangeburg. Now it's the
All right. One of the things I love about the College Sports Corner, when you're here, you get to dish it, and I get to react. Number one in the College Sports Corner tonight.
Quarterback J.T. Barrett will return for his senior year at Ohio State. He had sort of hinted after Ohio State got shut out by the Tigers that he did not want to leave the Buckeyes on a low note, and he confirmed today on social media that he would be back.
Good for him for coming back, because I think he's got a lot to prove. It's amazing how far his stock, in my opinion, dipped from where he was a couple of years ago, where he was sort of, and maybe you could argue, the best quarterback in college football. And I mean that sincerely. I really think, was it 3 years ago when he got injured? I think he may have been the best quarterback in college football as a freshman. But things have dropped off significantly for him. I think some of the surrounding cast, he really didn't have listen, this kind of resembles Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, in terms of the wide receiving cast, not nearly what Clemson's bringing into the national championship game. And there's just a lot of guys to spread the ball around to, and Alabama and Ohio State didn't have that luxury. They were very one-dimensional. Glad this kid's going to come back. I think he's a heck of a football player. I thought he was a class act after the game. And I don't have any ill will towards him. I mean, I really don't. I don't recall one thing that J.T. Barrett's done in his career that maybe say, you know what, that's a kid I don't like. I didn't want him to win last weekend, but then after the game, seeing him seek out several Clemson players to give him a handshake, give him some dap, whatever you want to call it, and say, good game, I got a lot of respect for that, because I think Deshaun Watson's the guy who would do the exact same thing.
Recently fired 49ers head coach Chip Kelly says he will not rule out any jobs. He says he evaluates all jobs individually. He would not rule anything out. He says, I've never said I'm only looking at one thing. I will never leave my team when there are games left in the season, so I never looked at college because all those jobs are filled while the NFL season is going on. However, he is not currently employed by the NFL, so he can look at college jobs, could return to the college ranks, and there are even rumors that he would be willing to return as an offensive coordinator for a year.
I don't know where he fits in with that role in all honesty, of being an offensive coordinator. I think if you are is it Clay Helton, right, at Southern Cal?
Correct.
I'm worried. Okay, just a little bit. Simply because I think that's a spot where he could fall that he could be more successful than he was at Oregon. I think there's also not a huge possibility, but a slim possibility that he could end up perhaps even back in Oregon at some point down the road. He doesn't really need to work because of the money that he's got coming in. But because he's getting paid by the Eagles, 1 year with the Niners, he'll be getting paid by the Niners. He could just sit back and relax and see if things open up at Southern Cal or if things were to open up if Willie Taggart doesn't work out at Oregon.
If he really wants to coach,
yeah.
If I was him, I would not rush into a head coaching job. He shouldn't have taken the 49ers job because he could be the head coach at Texas or LSU or somewhere like that right now had he not rushed into that 49ers job, which, to be honest, both of those schools are better options than being the head coach of the 49ers right now.
All right, I'm going to play complete random scenario here. Niners take Saban, Dabo to Alabama, Kelly to Clemson. I would not want that deal.
Don't want it.
I don't want that deal either. I don't want that deal either. I clearly I'm just making that up, but there is still that opportunity that a college job could open up, right? The Niners have not named a replacement yet.
Right. If I was Kelly, I would either
Michigan, Harbaugh.
Maybe if he leaves.
Could Harbaugh go back? Would that I don't think so. That's the only problem.
I'm either sitting out a year because I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
If I really want to coach, I'm going to go be an offense coordinator, but I'm going to bide my time and wait until a viable
big
school
program
opens up.
No, like maybe Coach Kelly replaces Coach Kelly at Notre Dame. Maybe Brian Kelly has a bad year next season. I think that's a school that can run that Oregon-style offense, sell it, get guys in nationally, and then play the traditional Notre Dame-style defense and be very good.
One last thing, important for Clemson, Auburn defensive end Carl Lawson has declared for the NFL draft. That's a big piece they're going to be missing next year.
Lots of guys declaring. Let's touch on some of those names when we get back here on Clemson Sports Talk. Stay with us on Fox Sports Radio.
iHeartRadio just got better. We've always given you the best stations from across the country and personalized artist stations.
Don't forget, they were tearing the league up.
Today, we introduce unlimited access to our iHeartRadio music library. Millions of songs you can search and play on demand. Unlimited skips. Create your own playlists and take the music you love offline to listen without using data or needing a connection. Open the iHeartRadio app and try everything free for a month.
Thank you for taking me up on the offer.
Mid-Carolina Credit Union, our community, our focus. Building relationships one at a time. Member-owned, community-driven. Convenient modern banking, loans of all kinds. The friendliest people, that's a given. Visit MidCarolinaCU.com. Mid-Carolina Credit Union, our community, our focus.
This is an announcer voiceover. You can't see me. You don't know who I am. You don't know where I am. To you, I'm just an anonymous voice on the radio. That's exactly what it's like when you call the South Carolina Education Lottery's gambling helpline. When playing is no longer fun, you can call 24 hours a day and speak with someone who's trained to help, all completely anonymous, just like me. The number is 877-452-5155 or visit playresponsiblysc.com.
From Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer tonight, the skies will be clear and the temperature is pretty chilly, mid-30s for lows. Tomorrow, a mix of clouds and sun, but mostly sunny in the afternoon, and the highs only upper 50s. For Channel 25 ABC Columbia, I'm Chief Meteorologist John Farley.
This report is brought to you by Fred Anderson Toyota of Columbia.
The all-new Fred Anderson Toyota of Columbia is the place to shop a huge selection of new and pre-owned Toyotas. Plus, receive our complimentary family plan when you buy. Fred Anderson Toyota of Columbia, Highway 378, Exit 110, and ToyotaofColumbia.com.
Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show now at 978-1832 or text 803-450-0086.
Weeknights, it is the show that shakes the Southland from 6 to 8 p.m., but we podcast every edition of the show. What does that mean for you, the listener? You listen when you want to listen. I know ticket prices astronomical right now. I mean, it's incredible. I've been looking at tickets a good bit, and I'll tell you what, they have skyrocketed in the past 24, 48 hours. Still kind of holding out hope that things open up a little further on down the road. But again, if you're looking for tickets to any game, not just the national championship, maybe even a concert, whatever event you're trying to go out and see, download the SeatGeek app. It's a free download for your smartphone. SeatGeek's the smartest and easiest way to find the tickets for the football games that you want to see up close and in person. And obviously, there's nothing like being there for the biggest games and the biggest plays of the year, maybe of your life. You can do that with the SeatGeek app. And it's never been easier to get the guaranteed seats that you want. All you got to do with the SeatGeek app to get yourself a $20 rebate, save yourself a little money, a little gas money, download the SeatGeek app, go to the settings tab, add the promo code CST. You click on the settings tab and click add a promo code. Use CST. SeatGeek will send you $20. A rebate. That's right, a $20 rebate. Download the SeatGeek app today. Enter that promo code CST. Make sure you take care of that. Saturday, on ESPN, on SportsCenter, Deshaun Watson interviews. No, hold on. Reverse that. Taj Boyd interviews Deshaun Watson. Lowell, your thoughts of the two former Clemson Tiger quarterbacks getting together at midfield in Death Valley?
Well, they obviously know each other pretty well, so I have a feeling that, you know, the chemistry will be there during the interview. I'm sure they're going to have some fun with each other, and you know, it's kind of cool to see because I feel like they had kind of a passing of the torch moment. You know, we've talked to Taj about Deshaun Watson, and you had a now famous conversation with Taj Boyd.
It's famous?
Famous between us.
Oh, okay.
And you've told it a couple times on the air,
sure,
in which Taj said that Watson is better than him.
Well, it was
more or less.
Taj looked at me and said, this is the spring game when Watson's on the sidelines with his arm in a sling. His freshman year, remember he had the broken collarbone. And Taj Boyd said, that kid's the real deal. He said he's the real deal. And I think, 31-2, 31-3. I hate to even have to give him that loss against. You were there. I can still blame you for it in Atlanta against Georgia Tech.
No, I don't give him the Georgia Tech loss. I don't count that on his record.
Dabo Swinney pointing out he played, 14 plays? Clemson was driving to take a 10-0 lead.
10-0 lead.
Pick six. Oh, wow. Doesn't that seem like eons ago in terms of your expectation of a Clemson Tiger football team in the games?
Yeah, we were talking about earlier, you know, how we kind of never thought that we might see Clemson at this point, especially didn't after, you know, the 4-loss season in 2014 or the 3-loss season, I guess. when, you lose that game to Georgia, you get blown out in the second half, and then you lose the game to Georgia Tech. What was the other loss? At Florida State. Florida State.
Which year?
2014. Lost the game to Florida State. And then Watson came back and beat South Carolina on one leg. But that year was kind of you could kind of feel it turning in that Oklahoma game when you blew out Oklahoma. And then the next year, it was just, that was the undefeated season, 2015. That would have been the undefeated year. You make it to the national championship the first time. And here you are again, about to face Alabama in a rematch for the national championship.
Man, it happened in a hurry. Let's talk to Will about the national championship game. Will, what's going on, man? How are you?
Man, I told you last week that the Big Ten's a joke. There are 14 teams in the Big Ten. They should be called a little 14. I mean, no wonder teams like App State could go in there and win.
Will, you
Michigan.
did.
But
you did. You called it.
And looking at these two games, I think Clemson's going to manhandle Bama because they talk about Jonathan Allen. Well, Clemson's got many jumbo, fast defensive linemen who are just as good or better. And then you look at Hurt. He's okay, but space and run a couple yards and stand there and maybe get a few more yards. So he won't be able to do that on Clemson. Saban's got this rehab program going on. I mean, he got rid of the Joe Kippen, and then he's got one of the Kardashians in there who's suing SC because he thought he could be drunk on the job. I mean, I think Clemson's going to manhandle Bama. And I'll tell you one other thing. Jackson of Louisville was 10 for 27 against LSU, so he had 4 bad games in a row. He threw for $130. He ran for 30. He had turnovers. I mean, so he has a good first half of the season. Watson should have hands down won the Heisman just because he had 37 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. But every time Watson throws an interception, he'll take Clemson down the field 2 or 3 times and get them the big lead. So, I mean, the Heisman is a joke. There's no credence in the Heisman Trophy anymore, giving it to Watson, to Jackson, who had 4 bad games in a row. All right, I appreciate it.
Will, thanks for the hot take. I agree. My nephew will tell you the same thing. He thinks, by the way, his name is Will as well, he will tell you the Heisman is a joke. He thinks it's a joke of an award. And I think when you look at the performances of Deshaun Watson versus that of Lamar Jackson got credit for early season success. And when the chips were down and his team needed him in a game where they were maybe a little bit undermanned, did you watch that game? Did you watch Lamar Jackson stink it up?
Yeah, if you'll recall, I picked LSU in the Paul preview. By the way, I went 6-0 in the Paul preview picks for these bowl games.
Humble brag.
Yeah, I picked LSU in that game because there had been kind of a meltdown from Louisville at the end of the year. And it was almost like, they were right outside the playoff conversation. All they had to do was beat Houston.
Finish.
They beat Houston. I think they finished the year undefeated. After that loss to Houston, I think they packed it in. I think they packed it in the second half of that game. And so you look across the line at LSU, what they have defensively, I said Lamar Jackson's going to get destroyed in this game, and he absolutely did. They didn't block for him. They couldn't run the ball. He didn't have time to throw the ball down the field, and then Louisville just wore them down on offense, and that game was about as ugly as I thought it was going to be.
Lamar Jackson, 10 of 27, 153. He had a 53-yard pass. So you take that away, you pass for about 100 yards, 153, rushing 26 attempts, 33 yards. He had 2 games in the final 3 games of the season where he had 33 yards rushing on 25 carries or more. Yeah, let that marinate for a second. O-line, actually, we're going to have to hold O-line over. We'll hold him over. Lowell, some other guys that turned pro early, and I know that the Clemson guys still have another game, and then those announcements will come out. But, man, over the weekend it felt like left and right my phone was blowing up with guys making the announcement. Maybe the biggest surprise for me so far, Gerard Evans, quarterback at Virginia Tech.
Yeah, and, Clemson has to go on the road to Blacksburg next year and play Virginia Tech. That's a huge loss, especially since they're already losing Bucky Hodges, their freak of a tight end. That's trouble for Tech next season. Now, I think Justin Fuente has them here to stay. I don't think they're necessarily going to fall off a cliff. It's a pretty big loss, though.
Yeah, Brad Kaya at Miami also leaving, so that the Coastal Division really seems to open up a little bit. Obviously, Trubisky gone at North Carolina, so the ACC going to be pretty young at quarterback at some of the bigger and the more accomplished programs. Francois will be a veteran. Hard to believe. We're back with the final segment right after this.
Barron's Outfitters, your exclusive local outdoor outfitter, has a question. What if the last time you were cold and wet was the last time you were cold and wet? Barron's has the answer. Rivers West. Come in today and stock up on all of Rivers West hunting gear for this winter. 100% waterproof fleece with extraordinary warmth. Perfect for the deer stand and duck blind. Remember, where you shop matters. Think local, shop local, buy local. This weekend and every day, shop Barron's Outfitters, 1725 Hardin Street, on the web at barronsoutfitters.com.
Buddy Delaney for Best Mattress. Happy customers and great reviews are two of the big reasons we're celebrating our 88th year. To thank our loyal customers, we're offering a $50 referral bonus to any customer who refers a friend and $50 off to the new customer. In addition, a portion of each sale will be donated to two of our favorite local charities, Harvest Hope and Pets Inc. Come and help us celebrate our birthday and let us help those in need. Best Mattress.
Learn more at bestmattress.net.
Liberty Mutual Insurance presents a story about pickles.
It's 2 a.m. and your pregnant wife needs pickles. So you pick up some green happiness, but hit a parked car. Great, something else to worry about. Luckily, Liberty Mutual Insurance has 24/7 claims assistance, so you can take care of your claim right away. Problem solved. Now, if only you bought the right pickles.
Visit a local office or call 844-8-LIBERTY. You can leave worry behind when Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance. Coverage is underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company.
For more information about contests on this station, go to foxsportsradio1400.com/rules. Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show in the chat room at clemsonsportstalk.com.
What have you done for me lately? It's a fair question. Just don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Don't forget history. Lucky for us at Clemson, the answer to the questions, what have you done for me lately, and what have you done always, are the same. We win.
The Hurry Up, No Huddle Sports Talk Express on iHeart Radio, Fox Sports Radio, podcasted live on YouTube. Hang out in our chat room, ClemsonSportsTalk.com, 2017, The Takeover. David E., Coast Guard Tiger, and others, of course, hanging out over there. You want to make sure you make your way over. 803-978-1832. Ticket prices through the roof. That's what they are. My nephew, Daniel, who went to the national championship game last season. Lowell got offered face value 2 tickets to the national championship yesterday and turned them down.
What? Why?
Didn't even call me. You know what he said? And I love the guy. But you know what he said? Well, I wanted to watch the game with the family.
Cool. Can I have your tickets?
That's like me too. Like, I want to watch the game with the family too. And I told him, I said, but Daniel, you went to the national championship game last season. You were in the stadium. Win, lose, or draw, you went to a national championship game. That's like a bucket list thing for me. And I'm probably not going to go to a national championship game when it's Nebraska playing Miami. I couldn't believe he didn't call me.
Wow. Especially considering what tickets are now.
Yeah. I would have gone.
Going for over $900 a pop.
I would have gone to the game. So, yeah. Daniel, buddy, come on, man. It's my come on man of the day. O-Line's on the line. He held through the break. O-Line, what's going on?
What's happening, Clem Swan? I was going to talk to you about my preference as far as the outcome of the game and why I felt that way. But since you're short on time, I'll do that tomorrow night.
Okay.
I'll just do a drive-by. You know, your defensive lineman there that was videoed for the reach-in.
Yes.
Y'all going to have to nickname him the Junkyard Dog because he was all up in that man's junk. Say it.
All right. Oh, listen. That was an odd moment. I agree. And Ben Boulware may have made it even a little bit more odd. But you know what? It's done. It happened a year ago, people. It happened in 2016. Can we not turn the page to 2017 and talk about the future? Can we not talk about what's going down next Monday in Tampa, Florida? If anybody brings that up again, Lowell, that's what we're telling them. That was so 2016, man. Turn the page. 803-978-1832. The hashtag on Twitter, CST Show. Follow the program at Clemson Sports. That's Clemson news, notes, information, and more 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Lowell, I'm sure we'll talk about that topic a good deal more heading into the 2016 or 2017 season in terms of the quarterback play in the ACC. But as I mentioned just before going to break, I mean, DeAndre Francois next year will be one of the more seasoned quarterbacks, perhaps, on a very good team in the league. Speaking of Florida State, FSU fan chimes in and says, Swanee, let me tell you, no true freshman is going to hurt this Clemson defense. A redshirt freshman, maybe. He says, Jalen Hurts is no Jameis Winston. Passability, I'm not even sure if that's a word, but okay. Passability is not there against this Tiger D. That coming to us from a Florida State Seminole fan peeking over the fence. Your thoughts on, I guess, that dynamic of not Jalen Hurts the downfield passer, but Jalen Hurts the freshman. He's the son of a coach. He's grown up around football. He's playing in Alabama. He's played against in some tough environments. He has the luxury of having a victory in the Peach Bowl, neutral site game under his belt in a win-or-go-home environment. But do you think this moment catches up with that young man?
Possibly. You know, it kind of feels like as we move towards the end of the season that they've asked him to do less and less. You know, in the Auburn game, he throws 2 interceptions. It sort of feels like he's not in control of that game. Then you go to the SEC Championship. He really didn't do much at all. And in the game against Washington, he throws 14 passes. It's like they're kind of trying to hide him a little bit, trying to kind of shield him from the moment, I guess.
Okay.
So that could be a sign that they think that he's not ready to kind of handle something like that. So, I mean, I think that you can make a valid argument for that perspective.
The other thing I will say, too, Bo Scarborough, who rushed for, I think it was 180 yards in that matchup against Washington, to put into perspective, because I think if you watch that game, Lowell, you go, oh my gosh, Bo Scarborough, how are we going to stop him? Can I read you Bo Scarborough's rushing stats for the year?
Sure.
By game, 36, 19, 13, 19, 21, 56, 109, 33, 52, 90, 91, 180. It's not as if Bo Scarborough's got 700 and some odd yards on the season. 719. He had only about 500 yards, I guess, coming into that game, just over 500. I mean, he almost put up a fourth of his rushing numbers in that one ball game. Now, he's carried the ball more. Again, I mentioned 90 yards against Auburn, 91 against Florida, 180 yards against Washington. But Scarborough, who is another big back, again, I don't remember. Do you remember the height and weight of Derrick Henry? Scarborough is 6'2", 228.
Oh, Henry was like 250. Let me look.
Scarborough with only 9 touchdowns on the season. He's been hampered by injuries throughout his playing days. But that 180 that you watched him put up this weekend is sort of an out-of-the-whack kind of number for him. I mean, it really is.
At Alabama, he was 6'3", 247 pounds.
So about 20 pounds. I mean, so he's significantly bigger. Now, Scarborough's a little bit faster. I'll give him that. But I don't think Scarborough is going to average 9.5 yards per carry against the Clemson Tigers. I just don't see that. And would you agree, based on those numbers I just read you, that the performance he had on Saturday against Washington was well out of the norm?
Yeah.
I mean, heck, even in his only other 100-yard game this season, 109 yards against Tennessee, one of those runs was an 85-yard touchdown. So it's not like that was a 109-yard rushing game where he carried the ball 25 times. The most carries he's gotten in a game this season, the 19 carries he got against Washington. And you know why I think that worked? Because I think Alabama felt like they could win up front against Washington's defensive line and could rush the football. I don't know that Alabama's going to feel like, well, they may come in there feeling like they're going to win that game up front against Clemson, but they may find themselves punting quite a bit, because as good as that Alabama defensive front is, so too are the Tigers.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday about if we thought the offense would be different. Nick Saban wanted them to run the ball more against Washington, so you kind of figured that they're going to come out and try to force feed the ball to Bo Scarborough, and that plays right into the hands of what Brent Venables wants to do defensively.
We are a day closer to the national championship game. Look at the time, 56 after 7. We got to get out of here. For Lowell the Intern on Twitter, he's at Lowell the Intern. I'm Lawton Swan at Clemson Sports. We'll talk to y'all tomorrow. As always, y'all take care now. And go Tigers!
ColumbiaHelpWanted.com salutes the employee of the month, the one who works hard for that special parking space and